we're going to go see a movie.
We're going to the movies.
We're going to the movies. We're going to go to the Kiggins Theatre to see...
Lady on a Train.
Which is a film noir film, part of their film noir night. They do a monthly film noir film, a particular Monday of the month. I think it's the first Monday. This is not the first, the second Monday. They do it once a month. Are you familiar with film noir?
I am, yes. Yeah, I really love that whole genre of movies, especially the ones where a lady gets to be featured and play the leading role and isn't just back up to a group of bumbling men.
Like, do you fancy yourself as kind of like a femme fatale type?
A little bit. A little bit of that.
Yeah, like... Now, this will be fun. Now, you've not seen this one, right?
I've not, no.
Neither have I. So this is going to be a brand new experience. I am not overly familiar with film noir. Like, I know what it is. I love what I've seen. One of my favorite movies of all time is Double Indemnity. Have you seen that? Oh, so good. Fred McMurray, but he's not being nice. He's not Disney Fred McMurray.
Oh, really?
So good. But this one stars Deanna Durbin and Dan Duryea, and those are the only names I remember off the top of my head.
Bellamy.
Hey?
Bellamy.
Bellamy. Ralph Bellamy?
Yeah.
Ralph Bellamy. Okay.
Been a few of our other favorites we've done.
That's true. This will be fun. I'm excited for it. Have you ever gone to film noir night at the Kiggins?
Quite a long time ago, years and years ago, pre-pandemic.
They did shut it down during the pandemic. I've only been to one. I've been to one, and it was a lot of fun. It was a Cary Grant film, which was just super cool. I believe it was a Hitchcock film, which I bring up Hitchcock on purpose, kind of foreshadowing some conversation that may happen now or later.
Well, because as we talked about earlier, when you first brought up going to this movie, one of the things that it brought to my mind was, I love The Lady Vanishes, which was produced as a Hitchcock film, although it's not an original Hitchcock script. He didn't have anything to do with really creating the script. It was handed to him, so it's a bit unusual for Hitchcock, but also takes place on a train. There's a lady, someone vanishes. He lost the title, so I'm interested to see how the two stack up.
Sure. A lot of Hitchcock scripts, he had a lot of input on, but I don't know much about the background of The Lady Vanishes either, so I'm excited to see this movie and kind of remember The Lady Vanishes and do some comparisons. And there's some other movies that you found that may or may not have a connection to this that we can talk about now or later.
Yeah, there's also, an Agatha Christie story that's 450 from Paddington that has similar, there's a murder involved, seen from a window of a train. So I'm interested to see how that one compares. And then we'll talk later about where the dates line up with all of that and maybe who copied who a little bit or not, we'll see how things go.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say at this point other than we should probably start getting ready to go. I would get some popcorn. I like the popcorn at the Kiggins.
I do like the popcorn at the Kiggins. Great old theater, wonderful place to see a movie like this because it is, in many ways, a vintage movie theater. It was the first movie theater in Vancouver, Washington, and at the time, many people from both Vancouver and Portland came over to see movies there, named after the first mayor of Vancouver, J.P. Kiggins.
Yeah, that's a perfect place to put a whole bunch of B-roll from the movie theater right here. Wow.
That was pretty good with those endings for the ears.
You ready for this?
I'm so ready.
It's gonna be fun.
It's going to be amazing.
Well, that was a great movie.
That was awesome.
It was really
That was so cool. It was not what I was expecting at all.
Not me at all either.
I guess when I think film noir, I feel like it should be darker, a lot more shadows at work, a lot more characters in shadow, maybe like blinds, so slatted blinds to cast shadows and all that. That's not what this movie was at all. Yeah, there was some mystery, and there were some shadowy scenes, like at the end with the garage and all that. Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers are coming, probably.
There's a garage.
There's a garage, I know, spoiler. There's people in cars.
Oh my gosh.
But I still loved the heck out of this. It was a mystery. It was very madcappy. It was a whodunit. Deanna Durbin is somebody that I'm aware of through her Abbott and Costello work, but I haven't really watched a lot of movies with just her, and she was great.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the cast. Arnold, whoever played Arnold, was that Dan Derek?
Yes, Dan Derek.
Fantastic. He's slowly becoming one of my favorite actors of that era. I haven't watched a lot with him, but man, he was so good.
Played his part.
So great. It was so good. It was so good. Before we talk about the movie, though, I want to say thank you to the Kiggins Theatre for making this happen. The Kiggins is a great venue for something like this. The popcorn, so good. Some of the best movie theater popcorn I've ever had, and I've had a lot.
That's the first popcorn we've brought home in a long time.
This is true. No offense to some of our other favorite movie theaters, but that popcorn, top notch. And just the setting, the kind of funds and finances that they've been able to generate over the years to kind of restore the theater, to make the seats nice and wide and comfortable, to have the armrests that actually come up so I can put my arm around my lady. Just fantastic.
And fun little things like the snack bar is done up very old-fashioned style. Yeah. And I really appreciated they have reusable cups, those cool old red plastic, nice big tumblers for your drinks, so you don't feel like you're throwing away so much garbage. And I'm sure it saves them money too.
Especially those kinds of cups with like pizza parts.
That's what I was thinking. Pizza Hut.
Yeah. But just it's a great venue. And are we going to do more film noir nights?
Oh, definitely.
Heck yeah, we are. I
will definitely be going back to the Kiggins. For me, the Kiggins is somewhere that I grew up going to. It was the cheap theater when I was growing up. It was the $1 and $2 theater in the 80s and 90s. So especially in like junior high and high school, it was the theater I could always afford to go to with my friends. And it's right downtown, so it was right on the bus line and near the library, so you could kind of like pretend like you were going to the library and then sneak over for a movie, sneak back to the library before mom picked you up, that sort of a thing. But
even
hopefully mom's not watching.
Even a special theme night like this was only $10 to get in.
Exactly.
And that's pretty good for a movie, 2 newsreels, some great popcorn, some great atmosphere. And that's something else that I love about Film Noir Night. I'd gone to Film Noir Night before. Like I said earlier, I saw that Cary Grant film, Notorious, I think is what it was. And I had forgotten that they do a couple of Universal newsreels at the beginning, just to kind of set the tone, I love that.
I've been, when I had gone in previous years, I appreciate the reels and that they tried to fit the reels to the exact time period when the stuff came out. And so it was neat to see that and have the reels have to do with, this movie came out in 45 and we've got a newsreel about Molotov coming to town, yes, like the cocktail.
It's coming to town.
Coming to DC to do some stuff. So it just sets the whole scene and the beautiful plaster work on the ceiling, all of the wood carvings, the red curtains all down the sides, which do actually help acoustically as well. Just really give you that fully encompassing experience. And they have a cool, if you're ever there early, they have like a cool little upstairs bar and stuff you can go get a drink at. And not tonight because Mondays it's dark, but most nights they also have a family-owned pizza place that's across the street that has some great pizza and Italian food. So Kiggins is always a great place to go for a movie, and it's really important that we support these hometown theaters and these vintage theaters, or they're going to disappear, as we've seen in so many other towns.
But that's the Kiggins. We went there to see the movie Lady on a Train, which we established earlier neither one of us had seen, and I think the first thing I wanted to mention, and we talked about it in the car, what a misleading title.
Oh my gosh, Lady Briefly on a Train.
Yeah, Lady gets off a train.
That's not really a spoiler. 5 minutes in, she gets off the train.
Yeah.
So if you want a mystery on a caper on a train movie, this might not be the one for you, although I'd still say go see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the trailer. I don't know if the trailer really made it feel like a train caper, but the title certainly does. And, I like that too, that kind of 10 Little Indians kind of setup where you got so many people stuck in a ship in a bottle type location where people are going to go. It's a very closed, cozy mystery vibe. That's not what this is. There's a mystery. There's a whodunit. It's all over the place. I loved it so much. This was so cool.
You talked about Deanna Durbin working with Abbott and Costello early on, and in fact, as we saw on the screen as the movie was opening, Howard Christie, the producer, produced this, and he was a producer of a lot of the Abbott and Costello movies. He also produced one of my favorite TV shows to watch with my grandmother, Wagon Train.
Nice.
Which was also a cavalcade of all the stars, because it's one of those shows where the producers and directors would bring on the old stars so that they could get their health insurance credits and stuff, which is something I've always felt as an actor was just a wonderful thing for them to do. So thank you, Howard Christie, for producing this movie. Really, really a fan. Fan. Now, we discussed before the movie that this reminded me, the title and the basic premise reminded me of some other mysteries that I'd heard of involving trains. I'm sure it's not very little of it's on a train, so I would like to, even though I didn't say this before, apologize to Agatha Christie for thinking maybe she ripped off a little bit of the story. There are a few slight similarities. Yes, there's a train involved. Yes, there's a big old fancy mansion. But beyond that, her 450 to Paddington really doesn't have much in common with this one. So I think she gets a pass.
Okay.
No, okay. But it was definitely a mystery, I feel like, worthy of an Agatha Christie novel.
Really?
There were more red herrings than there were pleats in the detective's pants.
Detective Ryder's pants.
Oh, that's true. He wasn't a writer. Yeah, he wasn't a real detective, but he tried.
True. And as a writer, and as a creative, I love watching movies where people who are doing those things professionally get caught up in a story. It's a filmmaker who stumbles across something they shouldn't have been filming, or a writer getting involved in something. I love that. And knowing that this came from the guy who created The Saint, who was an action adventure writer himself, I don't know if it was a self-insert because the character was not overly effective, but still, I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, he made me laugh.
Oh, it was fantastic. He was a great guy. I loved the character. I thought he was great. Partly because he was kind of a bumbling kind of guy who accidentally fell out of a relationship he wasn't happy about, fell into another relationship that, okay, it just happened.
Just sort of hit him over the head, would you say?
Yeah. But yeah, I love that. And I love that character. Just fantastic. I loved him.
Absolutely. You recently reviewed another movie that was supposed to be set in New York. This one was actually set in New York. This one actually looked like New York.
It did. All the experience that we've had in 1940s New York, I could say.
Right, yeah. I was supposed to tell them about my time traveling.
But it did feel like it was set in a big city in New York where things New York-y kind of happen. And the setting felt authentic.
Alleys and elevators and nightclubs and train stations and coppers on the beat and, all of those classic New York things. You know what I didn't know going into this? I didn't know it was a Christmas adjacent movie.
No clue. Now, I
say Christmas adjacent because it being Christmas really only had so much bearing on the actual plot. I think you could have set this movie at another time of year, but they did a nice job of weaving little bits of Christmas in here and there. And Deanna herself sings a beautiful rendition of Silent Night.
I almost wonder if that's one of
her father, and I almost wonder if it was just like, when are we going to set this? We set it at Christmas. We can get her to sing a Christmas song.
Yeah.
It'll be, we won't have to pay rights on it because
it's Silent
300 years
old.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it did feel like to me too. The other two songs, and there were two other numbers, right?
There were the one that caught me off guard that I had no idea was from this, which I've actually sung on stage myself during a murder mystery. Night and Day. I had no idea that. I knew that she had sung it, but I didn't know
that was featured so much. Yeah. So Night and Day, and then the other song, not Christmas themed. They just happen to be at a nightclub, and she's pretending to be a nightclub singer, and
Oh, that nightclub, that was...
The circus?
It's amazing, the circus, and...
It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool, yeah. The scene, I love that era as someone who's designed sets, for numerous theater shows. I love those old 40s and 50s nightclubs where they
Oh.
just went all out from, the way the stage was and the big band in a stand and the booths, the padded booths, ooh, and
Yes.
and all the little tchotchkes and side things and wonderful.
I love the nightclub singer's dressing room with the 3-panel one-way mirror.
That was a pretty cool.
That was so
that,
cool.
that was a pretty cool trick to use.
That was really, of course, the minute it turns up, you're like, okay, that's somebody's going to go through that mirror. Somebody or something's going to go through that mirror. It's Chekhov's mirror.
Yeah.
And something does go through the mirror. It's not a person, but whatever. But I'm glad that was used as well. And something that I really like about this era of filmmaking, and I don't know if it's because I'm now reacquainting myself with theater productions and theatricalities and things because of you being involved in community theater and doing so much with set design and directing and things along those lines. I don't know if it's that or what, but when I watch a movie from this era, it feels very, and I don't mean this negatively, stagey.
Yes.
There's so much of this that could have been done on a stage. In fact, there's so much of this that would be really cool done on a stage. No way we could get the rights to adapt this for the stage. But there are a lot of things in here that, like, I'm even watching it and thinking, okay, I know how I would fake the car elevator garage thing on stage. I know how they could do that, because there's some really neat set pieces, and I'm glad I got to see it on the big screen as opposed to the stage, but it could be done. And because of that, I think that kind of lent the dialogue and the performances to feeling more real to me. The dialogue does kind of have a quick patter, a back and forth. Little jokes kind of dropped in here and there. The bit about how the guy met his wife because she was a secretary. Oh wait, no, actually I was the secretary. And then just little moments like that would kill on stage.
Well, and I think that's something you see a lot in specifically that era of film because, films released in 1945, and I believe it may have come out just after the war ended, or at least after the war had ended in Europe, but it would have been filmed during World War II. And so a lot of the filming was, brought into the sound stages, and it was tightened up, and you didn't have as much on location during that era because of just budgets and who was available to film, and all of those things, and reusing things. You had to do that at that time. So I think it makes sense that it felt like a stage shot of the set.
Now, I don't mean that negatively at all. I don't know if I'm properly communicating what I truly feel about it. Just the dialogue felt snappy and just clever. And I could imagine some of your friends delivering that dialogue.
Absolutely.
Some of your friends from the theater. But the movie's fantastic. There's some music. A lot of it is Deanna Durbin. Her music and the instrumental that's going with her. But Miklos Rosa, I believe, was the composer who did the music on it. It was just a fantastic classic composer of the era. Thought the direction was tight. The editing was great. The performances, Deanna Durbin is fantastic. What a sweetheart.
Modern actresses, think sort of Amy Adams.
Oh, yeah, I could see
Kind
that.
of an Amy Adams type that she's just so cute that she just gets away with all her nonsense,
Yeah, I mean, she plays a debutante. She comes from a rich family. She's traveling from California to the New York office for the holidays to visit a rich aunt or something. We don't really get a lot of motivation as to why she's on the train to begin with. She's just traveling. But it's pretty, she's pretty fantastic. And it makes me want to seek out more of her movies.
Yes.
I know that she did a lot more film-wise. I'm familiar with her from the Abbott and Costello stuff, but I'd like to see more of her stuff to see if it had that kind of madcappy, kind of whodunit kind of vibe, But I could also see her doing like a flat-out like dramatic romance
Oh, absolutely. And
or romantic drama. That sounds better.
there you go. Romantic drama. That makes more sense, yeah. What did you think about the whole setup with, at one point, of course, they go out to the big mansion on Long Island. What were your thoughts with that?
You saw, I was going to ask about this, and I wanted to wait till we were on camera, because when we cut to her snipping around and finding the home of the murdered person that she saw get killed, she gets out to the estate, and you started giggling. And I don't know why. Why were you laughing?
Oh, just did she was just like, I'm not going to ring the doorbell. I'll just hop the fence. No problem at all. I'll just get away with that in the snow. Like, it'll be fine.
And she does get away with
She
it.
basically does, yes.
The guard dogs show up and she's like, shush, shush, shush. And yeah, she just kind of talks her way through everything. Like, this is a woman, maybe she's a spoiled child, I don't know. She seems to have gotten away with a lot in her life. But
She's spoiled. I think she definitely has a level of privilege, and she even realizes it and takes advantage of it to some degree. But she genuinely does want to help people and comes across as someone who wants to help and do the right thing.
yeah, I don't mean a negative.
So not spoiled, but just, she's always been taken care of, and so then she wants to take care of everybody else, and I think that's lovely and nice. So, what a nice thing. Very clever.
She's very clever. She's adorable. Unfortunately, they're product of his time, 1940s. Asian American is referenced as somebody who had a particular facial feature and shouldn't have been snooping around a bridge. But
And the number of the servants are African American and played
I mean, it's
a little cheesy, but it is something of the time, and I think we need to acknowledge that and just know that we've got to do better.
I say this on my podcast, Monster Kid Radio, a lot whenever we run into this, whether it's like a Manton Moreland type character where he's like, oh, zombies, oh no, and he gets all bug-eyed or whatever. That was a terrible impression. It's awkward, it's hurtful to watch sometimes now, I would imagine. But if we don't acknowledge it, we're kind of ignoring the history, and that's even more disrespectful. So just wanted to shine a light on it. Not going to go down the huge rabbit hole about it, but it does happen.
Well, and I would give credit to, the writer character as a butler named Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And Maxwell's clearly used to cleaning up after his boss's messes. And at one point, boss says something, she says something, boss says something back, and we see Maxwell give a really obvious side eye. So I liked that they left that in, and that actor was allowed to be like, I'm smarter than I'm letting on, as a character. I appreciated that.
Yeah. All right. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I don't have a sign off for this thing yet. Do you?
Oh, well,
You have any ideas?
we're Team Death. This has been Team Death at the movies. We'll see you next time around.